This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey, this is Bobby Higginson from the Detroit Tigers, and you're talking sports with Randy Harris.
Hi, we're back hanging out here. Hour number one, almost complete. Sam Shoemaker was just on BKFC over the weekend. BKFC is now competing almost every weekend. You know, when they first started, it was kind of UFC-ish, you know, every 3 months, every 4 months, then every 2 months, then every month. And we'll have Dave Feldman on in the second hour, or maybe it's the third hour. And we always talk about it. It's almost every week. I think this weekend they're in UK, then they go to Salt Lake, then Kansas City. It's blowing up, too.
Well, good. I mean, it's amazing that they tied it in with Sturgis. I mean, it's a great format because the fight fan who is into motorcycles and the lifestyle and the music and like the whole Sturgis experience is the same fight fan that would be at a NASCAR event or Daytona 500. So piggybacking off of these major outdoor events seems to be like a golden ticket.
No, it definitely makes sense. As you know, BKFC has done quite a few things with Harley, the motorcycle place here in the Tampa Bay area. They've had a fight there. They've had 2 weigh-ins there. And, you know, they're not the first ones. The UFC tied in with the Arnold, you know, in Ohio. So it makes sense because it's a built-in, and it's not as, even though ticket sales is important, it's not, you know, we know that, you know, with the Apex, they're not selling tickets. But it's certainly nice when you don't have to sell them, they're going to sell themselves.
Well, and of course, the Apex was sort of born out of COVID, where you couldn't really have a crowd, so they really weren't concerned with building it out.
Right, and continue. You know, and we've talked about this before, you know, the 5, 6, 4 weeks, whatever it is, you know, that you've now joined the show, in that I would be curious, and we should have asked Bellamy, being the economics guy, which makes more money? Going on the road, renting the building, flying your staff, the hotels, blah, 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 or the Apex where you don't have to do any of that stuff?
Well, don't forget, a lot of the times the venues are paying for the privilege of having the UFC visit them. Yeah. So they're kind of offsetting those costs, you know, when they're getting paid to be there. Mm-hmm. But I agree, if you have a homegrown stadium and you don't have to travel your staff and your fighters, and yeah, you're going to make a little more money. But
you're not, you know, selling tickets. And I think the Apex now sells a few. Yeah. And when I say a few, I'm talking maybe 8.
Yeah.
You know, I love watching fights in the Apex, though.
I liked it too. You know, it's a different experience. It's almost like watching the early days of The Ultimate Fighter. Yeah. When they were in the gym and they were all...
What was the first one you went to? Do you remember?
The Ultimate Fighter?
No, the first UFC, the first MMA. Oh. You know, big show. So the UFC, if you want to say...
It was 2001. I think it was UFC 32 in Atlantic City at Boardwalk Hall.
Okay.
Matt Serra...
The brawl at the hall?
Matt Serra fought Shoney Carter. Randy... I forgot who Randy fought. Randy was there. Cal Uno fought BJ Penn. So yeah, that was my
either Matt or Trigg fought at that one. Either Matt Hughes or Frank Trigg. I think one of those, because I believe that was the event that Trigg made the famous statement to me. He kind of pulled the Rocky Balboa, "Don't forget you owe me," you know, and Rocky turns to Apollo Creed and goes, "What do I owe you?" Well, Frank used to always say, "Sooner or later you're going to have to choose." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" 6 months later, I'd see him again. Sooner or later, you're going to have to choose. And then finally, at the Atlantic City card, I go, "Frank, what are you talking about?" He goes, "Sooner or later, you're going to have to choose, Matt or me." And I said, "Frank, I love you. 51-49 is the closest you'll ever get." Yeah. And it may be 50-50, but and he was saying that jokingly.
But don't forget, Frank was truculent back then. He's not the Frank Trigg that he is today. Like back then, I remember he had the Mustang with the twinkle toes on the windshield. Yeah. Every time I went to Randy's gym out there, I always see the twinkle toes Mustang, or it wasn't a Charger, it was something like that. I think it was a Mustang. But I was like, I just didn't like the guy. And then I got to know him.
Yeah, that's the key.
And when I got to know him, I loved the guy. He's a great guy.
And, you know, we've talked about this, Matt, you and I have talked about this before, just about, you know, one situation, the baseball, the guy's throwing the perfect game, the umpire makes the bad call at first base where he's off by a mile, where he was out. He called him safe. So what would have changed for that pitcher? Let's go back to my favorite fight of all time, the Frank Trigg, Matt Hughes, whatever, low blow, not a low blow. And I told both fighters, I said, I'm going to be more upset for who loses than happy for who wins. And Matt will tell you, I don't show emotion. I don't want people to know. I don't think it's professional to know. And inside, I'm like, holy crap, Matt. Oh, my, you just lost. holy crap, Frank, I think you're dead.
Yeah.
And just, if it wasn't a low blow, if it would have been stopped, if it would have changed Frank Trigg's life.
Yeah.
Now, I swear by that. I've never seen Randy cheer or root. I've never seen him show emotion, cage side, backstage, like anywhere, except recently. I did see a little bit of a bias post on Facebook where you called out Conor McGregor for avoiding Chandler. Is that his name?
Yeah, well, that's not showing favoritism.
Like, why don't you fight him and shut up? And like, talking like I've never seen you like that guy publicly talking about.
Well, yeah, the fan part of you,
the GOAT,
because we're all fans at heart.
But it really wasn't even coming from a fan standpoint. It was coming from a media standpoint. That you said you're going to have this fight. I do the same thing. Tristan Wirfs, just he didn't hold out. He was. They call it a hold in. Okay, so what Tristan Wirfs did was he went to practice every day, but he didn't practice. He's under contract. Now I get it, and he brought up the Ryan Jensen, and he got injured, and it cost him the rest of his career. But if you're under contract, how do you not go to work? And that's what I was saying. Conor did the Ultimate Fighter to fight Michael Chandler. I honestly, and you know me better than most, I don't care if it would have been Matt Hughes do that. I would have said the same thing. Tito Ortiz, when he backed out, he's one of my closest friends. Then he didn't fight Chuck. The deal is you're going to fight. The two coaches are going to fight. Now you're saying you're going to fight somebody else? Just get out of my life. Move on. And I don't go to his press conferences.
Yeah.
That was when Tito wanted the UFC to pay for his back surgery. Yeah. Well, it's funny. You talk about the football players that hold out during camp. You can't really do that in MMA because it could cost you your career. In NFL, you get a fine, and you're back playing the next week.
That gets waived.
Yes.
The fines more times than not gets waived, so you're not losing anything.
But you can't really do that in MMA because there's only a certain amount of places you can go. And, of course, there's only one NFL, but there's so many teams and so many players, you can always survive. But in MMA, in your weight class, it's either UFC, now it's PFL.
Well, that's
You've got bare knuckle fighting, which, by the way, we talked about earlier, how quickly it's grown. And like now you said, having fights every weekend. I just, honestly, when it first came out, I kind of rolled my eyes. Oh, this isn't going to last. And boy, did it last. And boy, is it exciting to watch.
What did you think? The fighter who got released by Dana, because of the situation, Dana's comment was the PFL is going to get a great fighter. And then did you see what Ray Sefo said?
I didn't.
Yeah, Ray Sefo said, we've done our research. We're not interested.
Wow.
That he's not worth the headaches. He's not worth the hassle. And, so it just goes to show.
Yep.
Everybody's, Dana, how can you do that? Well.
Yeah. So and by the way, Ray Sefo, the nicest guy in the world.
Unless he's on an elevator.
And unless he's kickboxing you at the moment.
Well, the elevator story in Cleveland.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was on the elevator that fell. And that was when CB Dalloway was supposed to fight in Cleveland.
Wow.
And he got injured it fell like 4th floors. And so I just got off the elevator.
Thank God.
With the door open. It's not that I fell off.
Well, Ray is
Prince
what?
on that elevator?
285.
I don't get it.
Right? Ray's
Prince.
285, right? Ray Sefo?
Going down in an elevator.
Ray's about 285 pounds, maybe a little more.
Oh, yeah.
Picture of Stephen A. with
Maybe
Prince
a little more when he's not fighting, so that could be why it fell.
Picture.
Yeah, definitely could be. Interesting. What are you rambling about?
I took a picture with Stephen A. and Prince at the Russell Peters comedy show last weekend.
Prince?
At the Hard Rock Casino.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a photo of them. Steve and I.
Museum, the Hard Rock.
Well,
okay.
So the picture of Steve and Prince, and then Steve and I also took a picture of us going to prom at the Hard Rock. It was great.
What does that have to do with what we were just talking about?
We were having a conversation.
That's right.
Yeah, that what you guys talk about.
You guys keep taking over
1986, an elevator in Cleveland.
I got a way to fix it. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Make sure he's off. Yep.
Wow, that's interesting.
I turned off the wrong one. All right, now we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to see the picture?
So what's interesting?
The Prince picture. I was caught off guard because I thought you were talking about the boxer Prince Nazim. Remember Prince Nazim? So I was confused. I was going to go, wait, Prince Nazim was at the show?
Ironically, Russell Peters told us.
Anyway, just keep talking. He's not even. His mic's not even on.
Russell Peters told us in the green room that people confuse him for Prince Nazim when he's at events.
Really?
Because they look similar.
That's
It was the Prince of Bel
funny.
Air we're talking about.
The
Oh,
Fresh
my God.
Prince of Bel Air.
Are we done? Can we move on?
I think so.
Okay.
Prince Nazi.
All right.
So you're going to ask David Feldman. You said you're going to ask him a question about what's next for Sam.
Well, what's next for Sam? But I also want to ask, and I texted him, and he didn't get back to me about it. His thoughts on the comment of Connor.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he's a part owner. You know how small of a part owner he is?
I don't.
Okay, I don't either, but I do. Okay,
Yeah.
So I kind of do.
But the thing is, Connor's got enough money to buy the whole thing. He could be the whole owner if he wanted to.
It doesn't matter how much money you have. Ownership has to want to sell.
Yeah.
So, Dave did sell some of the stakes off already. I'm sure he doesn't want to give up everything.
Right.
This is his baby. This is what he started.
Yeah. And again, I was so surprised at how well they did right out of the gate. And it helped that they had a couple of UFC fighters that were taking on a couple of bare knuckle fighters, and I thought that helped a lot for Feldman. But man, what a great job they've done. I remember when ONE FC started. Remember Victor Cui started ONE FC out in Hong Kong, Singapore, and I didn't think that was going to last either, and that. Because I thought the UFC was going to penetrate Asia way bigger than it did. But they never really got a foothold. Remember, they hired the guy from NBA Asia, forgot his name, and he ran the whole Asia operation for UFC, and it just never took off. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know. They have a whole staff, that's there. They have the whole staff that's in Brazil. They have the whole staff in England.
Could it be that the Asian market only wants to see Asian fighters?
Could be.
And maybe, we didn't UFC talent didn't cross over to Asia.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it goes back to more of respect for the martial art. Where the UFC is built on trash talking and the Conor McGregors, the disrespect, and where the Asian fighters are all about the history and the respect for the warrior.
But Pride was in Japan, and you could hear a pin drop during the biggest fights in Pride at the Saitama Arena, and people just clapping, very polite. It's a different way of consuming a combat sport.
Did they still cheer that softly when Rampage slammed Lyoto Machida unconscious? Maybe the greatest body slam in combat sport history?
I don't remember what the cheering was like, but I do remember what that slam sounded like.
Man.
Yeah, that was nasty. Really nasty. I'm surprised Lyoto got up from that.
It was a pretty big slam on SummerSlam on Saturday. Are you a wrestling guy?
I am not.
Roman Reigns turned again. Wow. So he was a heel, and then he kind of became a face, and now he's been a heel for 5 years, and now he's back to being a babyface again.
I've watched more documentaries about wrestlers than I watch wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Ric Flair documentary, I learned so much about Ric Flair that I didn't know. And,
it's on A&E, I think, right?
Well, I saw it on Netflix.
Okay.
Or maybe
all of them is really good. I watch them all. They talk about what they do, who they do, how they do, all that kind of stuff. So
even that one movie, Fighting with My Family, it was about the female WWE star. She's married to another wrestler. He started an MMA promotion too. El Capitan or El Jefe, whatever. You guys are. I thought you guys were WWE guys. He's a anyway.
El Capitan. That's Damian Priest, I think.
No, it's not him. He's married to a wrestling star. I forgot her name. Brunette, really beautiful girl. Anyway.
Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. I can keep going.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey.
No.
He said good wrestler.
Yeah. And
Captain Kangaroo.
Somebody who could sell a promo.